Hey guys, Sandy here, and welcome to another process video for my December daily project. This is also going to be for the Confessions of a Paper Addict design team. So I have this great Santa sack cut file that I cut out twice. I also cut out the outlines. Now I'm not sure which day this is going to be for my December album. Because I'm not caught up. I mean, it's the beginning of the month and I'm already haven't been doing it daily, but that's okay. Doesn't really matter because I am enjoying the process, and that is what my kind of theme is for the month, is joy. So whatever I can do that brings me joy is going to work. Now I have this cool idea. I will go ahead and get to it, but before I do, make sure you go join the Confessions of a Paper Addict Facebook group. Virginia has been a cut file designing machine. She released 50 cut files at the beginning of the month. She also released another 5 just yesterday, I believe, and that is where the Santa sack came from. So let's see what I can do. All right, so my original plan did not come to fruition. I decided to change it up. What I'm doing right now is applying some flock onto the Santa sack. Now, flock is basically just fuzzy stuff, and I laid down some matte gel medium, and then I poured the flock over, and then I let it sit overnight because you really gotta let it sit, like really. If I would have done it again, I probably would have put a whole lot more adhesive down. That way more flock would have stuck to it. But flock is a delicate business, you guys, so you'll see later what I ended up doing. Now this is the Santa sack cut file, and I have got to tell you guys, as soon as Virginia put this out, I knew I needed this cut file, and I knew I needed to flock it. Now, I wanted to flock it with red flock. However, don't have any red flock. I have like a whole plethora of colors, but no red. And I had a big thing of tan flock and a big thing of purple flock. And honestly, the purple flock, I was not feeling it. You know, this is going in my December project album. So of course it had to be traditional colors. So I went ahead with the tan. And I'm glad I did. I love the way it turned out. It looks great. So what I'm doing right now is backing the cut file. And I do this, I actually have 2, maybe 3 techniques, if you even want to call them that, when I back a cut file. Sometimes I trace around the inside of what I'm cutting out and just leave a little border. Sometimes I trace around the outside of what I'm cutting out and just cut in a little bit. And then sometimes I don't even trace, I just cut and go with it. So I guess I don't know if that third one's really a technique other than just attacking it and getting it done. But that's what it is, and that's what I do. I decided that I really wanted the bows to have glitter. Like, it needed some sparkle. I felt like if I was adding this fuzzy kind of matte feeling flock, this page definitely needed a little bit of sparkle in its life. So I am super excited about the bow. And then I realized as I was getting ready to glue the bow on that the center of the bow, when do I realize this? Right now. I think I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, that center of the bow needs to be cut out. So I pop the cut file back down, and then I just go ahead and cut out that little bit of bow. So, like, a lesson for you, just make sure you know what the heck you're doing when you're starting to back your cut files. Otherwise, you might back something you totally didn't mean to. I'm glad I caught it. It wouldn't have been too hard to trim it off, but still glad I caught it. Because, you know, it could have been awkward and weird. And heavens knows I don't need any more awkward and weird in my December project than I already do. So, as I was saying, this Santa sack just made my little heart so happy. Like, when I saw it, I was like, yes, Virginia, I need this, and I need to flock that sack. So that is what we did. We flocked the sack. Now that flocking, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. Like I said, if I was to do this again, I would lay down a lot more adhesive. That way the little fuzzy bits had more to stick to. Definitely use a wet adhesive. The dry, I had tested it out. What I did was I ran a little scrap through my Xyron X, and you get the adhesive on it and it turns something into a sticker. And I tried that with a little bit of flock at first, just to see which was the way to go. Because I have a bigger Xyron. Luckily this didn't work, because when I actually looked at my bigger Xyron, I only have a laminator cartridge for it. I don't have an adhesive cartridge. And as a matter of fact, I don't even know if they still make that Xyron anymore. So I really got to check that out as a sidebar. But anyway, back to what I was originally talking about. That little Xyron X made a sticker, and I tried to put the flock down, and it did not stick very well at all. So I knew I needed to have the wet adhesive, and I thought I did, a thicker coating of it than I normally would. But like I said, go big with the wet adhesive. Go big, dump the flock over it, press it down, and let it sit. Don't play with it. It's got to dry completely so that the most flock as possible sticks to it. And then the next day, once it's dry, you just tap, like do a little tappa to get the extra flock off. And you can definitely tell on my sack where I had like a good amount of adhesive and where I really didn't have the correct amount whatsoever. Now this candy cane, what I decided to do was to cut out the entire candy cane in white, and then I laid it down on the back of the cut file, and I was like, yep, that's going to work. Had to do a little bit of trimming just to get it covered correctly. And then this is where I use that pseudo technique that I talked about, where I grab some scraps of red. And I didn't want to do the glitter red because, the glitter's on the bows. So I definitely have varying shades of red on this December page. And that's okay. Boy, I was really making sure that candy cane was perfect, wasn't I? So I grabbed some red scraps, and this is where I just go ahead and cut. I mean, the shapes are so tiny that I feel like I could probably just cut out rectangles and trim them down and glue them down, and that is what I do. And that is what works. In this case, it totally works. So look at these little teeny tiny little bits, and they are working. Now, my poor little adhesive, I've been saying this for a while, whoops, and I just dropped it, that I definitely need more. I did place an order. I ordered over Black Friday weekend, so I did place an order for some more, and I dropped it again. I got the dropsies today. So pretty soon I will have a fresh new bottle of adhesive that I don't have to store upside down like this. It was actually kind of a blessing that the little gem popped off. Still not exactly sure what happened to that little gem, but it makes it so much easier to put my glue bottle upside down when I'm storing it. So here I am just cutting out those little red pieces, figuring out which way I meant them to go, cutting them, and then now I have my striped candy cane. Now I do have to admit that I think the prettiest candy canes of, the actual candy canes that you buy in the store are probably the red and white ones that have a little teeny tiny stripe of green in them as well. I just think that they're beautiful. Now I even thought about drawing in the little stripe of green just because that's the candy cane I think is the most beautiful, but I didn't. I just kept it traditional and did the red and white. So now I finally can back the cut file with the plaid paper that I had originally, cut. I think it was the first thing I cut out. And I really like the look of that. And now I got to figure out what wrapping paper is going to be on this other present. So I pull out my Simple Stories 6x8 pad one more time, and I'm just giving it a flip through to see what we got. I decide to go with the little polka dots because I think that they're really cute. And this is one of those times where I trace around the outside of the cut file and cut on the inside. So just got to trim it up a little bit because, it's not perfect. And then I'm going to lay down some more adhesive and get that bad boy down there. Now, if you haven't found yourself over on the Confessions of a Paper Addict Facebook group, you need to get yourself over there. All month long, we're doing fun things. We're having lives and games and cut file releases. It's just a lot of fun. Plus, there's exclusive sales. Like there was an exclusive sale over Black Friday weekend that was better than what the public knew about, and it was an awesome sale. But you definitely need to get yourself over there. And if you haven't gotten yourself to the Confessions of a Paper Addict shop, my word, what are you waiting for? You really need to get yourself over there too. The cut files are gorgeous. Virginia has released over 55, I want to say, for Christmas, about 55 of them. They are absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to put on this sack, because my original thought is this is where the Christmas wish lists are going this year. Every year I create a little pocket and put the wish lists in them. And I thought it was going to be this Santa sack, but no, it has turned out not to be this day's like theme or project. It's not going to be that. So I pull out the Merry Christmas, and my flock here is still wet, but I'm just trying to get an idea of what I want to do with it. And I'm thinking, yep, this will work for me. I really like the way that looks. I'm thinking that it's festive, it's fun. Now I just need to figure out what background paper it's going to be. So I'm being very gentle and testing it out. And then I really like it over top of the Tone on Tone Christmas trees. So I pull out the Christmas tree paper and I trim it down to fit my page protector. The page protectors are a little bit larger than 6x8, so if you put in a 6x8 paper, you will have gap. So, well, will you? Yeah, it's like 6x8.25 maybe. So that's what I did there, and I'm just trying to outline it, and I'm trying to plan out where the things are going to go. Before I can get the flock on. So I know that this is going to happen. I think, oh yeah, I can nestle the day 3 right in here. That'll be super cute. And I'm like, yep, it's got a little bit of sparkle at the top. It's got a little bit of sparkle in the number. This is good. This is good. And I don't know why I'm trying to get it positioned so perfectly when the flock isn't there, but here it is. So here's what my flock looks like after I tapped it out. And you can see kind of like the brush strokes of my adhesive. So I totally could have added way more adhesive than I did, even though I thought I added a lot. So like tip there, if you're playing with flock, add more adhesive. Like when you think you're good, add more. And when you think that's a lot, add more. Like that's going to be my biggest tip. So I am squeezing out my Nuvo glue, and then I'm going to layer this on top of each other. And I start out at the top because I figured that would be the easiest to line up to get it to line up at the bottom. And I'm still being kind of gentle with it because, I mean, even though the flock is stuck down, it's still kind of, it's still kind of fragile. So I place it underneath of my messy mat, and that's what I use to back my cut files and glue on sequins, because I don't care if glue gets all over it. And then I'm trying to think, like, what am I going to do to this paper? Should I do something more? Should I heat emboss some gold around the edges like I did on a previous card? And I'm like, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to outline it in white. I've got this big old white outlined cut file, and I'm just going to add a little bit of white to the background to kind of have like a cohesive moment. So we go ahead, we get that done, and I am happy with that. Now, originally this was going to be a two-sided cut file, and I was going to double back it and punch it right into my album. But then I thought, oh, Flock, it's not really like strong enough to put up with that. So I decided to do a single cut file and then back it on the paper, which is what I have going on right now. So I'm going to get this down on my paper, and then you'll see I kind of test out what, oh, first we got to add this on. Now, when I was doing this yesterday, I thought, yeah, I need it over on this side, but I feel like there was a lot less flock down here in this section, so I'm going to go ahead and cover that up with the chipboard piece, and I'm still going to leave the 3 up in the corner where I originally had it, because I think it nestles in there really nicely. Even without the Merry Christmas, I just think it nestles really nicely. I thought about it for a second, putting it over top the Merry, but you know that didn't work. Didn't look as good. So I have this really thin sheet of printer paper, and I'm like, oh, this is really poking it up a lot, and the flock is delicate. Nope, this is just going to be something pretty. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching my day 3 and checking out my cut file. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment, all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys again really soon.